All right, Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. The double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rules well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of this video is Global News Highlights. Right, and pretty much is where I go into the news. I look on artificial intelligence apps, DeepSeek, and ChatGPT, and I ask it, top news worldwide past 24 hours. And pretty much that's the same thing I asked it today. I'm on ChatGPT. I don't know what's going on with DeepSeek, but for some reason it thinks it's in 2024. So I'll be having problems with it. Nevertheless, I'm on ChatGPT. So I asked it the question. The reason I'm doing that is because the scriptures tell us to measure the time diligently in itself. Because we're in a time now where things are happening at a rapid pace. Right, we saw Edom is coming down with great wrath. Right, pursuant to Revelation 12 and 12. This is 2 Ezra 9, verse 1. It says, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part the signs pass, which I have told you before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest began to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and upwards of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High Yahweh Bashmi shall speak of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. It says, For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, the end is manifest. It says, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. Right, and we're seeing the effects and signs now. Right, and that's why you see, upwards of people, complete turmoil out here, in the streets and all over the world. This is 2 Ezra 16 and 14. Because we're dealing with the birth pains now. So the plagues, the Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahushua sent them here. This is 2 Ezra 16 verse 14 says, Behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till they consume the foundation of the earth. Right? So Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, it's written in the scriptures that these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. But they're going to happen, until it does what the Lord has ordained it to do. It says, like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. Right, so if the plagues are here and they're not leading to accomplish what they need to accomplish. It says in verse 17, Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evil. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Right. So we're seeing now even Trump is ready to do what? Attack Venezuela. Right. It says, Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a minute. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Right. And our people, steady lollygagging, not knowing what's going on, playing with the Most High Yahweh, Bashmi Yahushua, right? So anyway, let me grab this. Okay. So like I said, I had to, fool around with it, like to try to get it to get the right answers for me. So it says global overview. So Israel continues an intense offensive in Gaza, leading to extensive devastation and ongoing humanitarian crisis, right? And what is this? This is just in the news. This is just letting you know, world events that's happening now, right, pursuant to scriptures, right? This Israel thing is big because the least of the flock is going to draw out Babylon the Great to war, right? So the things that they're doing in Israel is having the nations, look at it and look at Babylon the Great and Israel in a bad light. And on top of that, Israel is losing, and they're going to need help from America, Babylon the Great. So it says Israel continues its intense offensive in Gaza, leading to extensive devastation and ongoing humanitarian crisis. Now, this is the wicked. All right, Isaiah 35. And all right, this is Isaiah 32. Slack it. All right, Isaiah 32, verse 5. It says, "The vile person shall no more be called liberal, nor the troll said in bounty. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy, to utter error against the Lord Yahweh Bashah, to make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail." It says, "The instruments also of the troll are evil. He devises wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speak of right." Soccer, so yes, I don't know if y'all could hear that, so I had to turn this off, the truck off. So I'm gonna try to speed this up and get hot in here. So, that was the point anyway. The wicked, is showing himself to be the wicked, right? These devils are parade themselves around to be pure, holy, and all of that. But now what? They're causing evil upon the earth, right? They're destroying people's homes, uh, destroying the people, right? Not caring about their own laws and things that they set in place, you know? So, moving on, just in the news, it says President Putin arrives in Tianjin for the SCO summit, where discussions center on expanding strategic and economic ties among global South nations, right? What is this going into? Ezekiel 38, where Russia is going to be got together with many nations to come against Babylon the Great, right? America. So these meetings, right? BRICS, meeting with China and all these different things is very important, right? And it ties directly into prophecy, you know? It says violent protests erupt in India, in Indonesia, right? And these are I quoted Ezekiel 38. This is something you can look up on my YouTube page. If you just type in Ezekiel 38, then you will find it, and you'll get the breakdown on that. But it goes into, like I said, Russia gathering people unto himself, right, to basically come against Israel and America, right, and to destroy them with nuclear missiles. And you can see that happening in the news now, right? It says, violent protests erupt in Indonesia, including looting of government officials' homes as public outrage mounts. Right. When the wicked are in authority, the people mourn. But when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Right. So that's what's happening right now. The wicked one is currently ruling, and he's at his end. So the people are upset. The scriptures talk about nations being mad because they have drunken the wine of Babylon the Great. It says, a 6.0 magnitude earthquake strikes eastern Afghanistan, causing casualties and infrastructure damage. It says Europe and the Mediterranean grapple with records setting wildfires, prompting mass evacuations. Right. And I just, went into the scripture where these earthquakes and these different things will be happening. Right. This is Isaiah 29 and 6. It says, "Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh, Bashmiah shall host with thunder and with earthquake and with great noise, with storm and tempest and flame of divine fire." Right. So this is how the Lord is visiting this place, right? He's kindling a fire in this place, and breaking it down. So we got anti-immigration protests escalate in the UK. So once again, this uproars of the people. It says targeting hotels, housing asylum seekers. It says anti-immigration protests escalate in the UK, targeting hotels, housing asylum seekers, and inciting confrontations with law enforcement. Right, the same thing is happening in the U.S. It's happening all over the world. It says global developments include blocked deportations of Guatemalan minors. Okay, so basically, what is that? They're being divided. They're divided. Trump is coming in as a cruel lord, trying to set things up and get Jake out of here. And the courts is bucking up and backing up, against him and saying, no, you can't do this. What you're doing is not lawful according to their laws. All right, let me see if I can find this. Might want to go to Luke. Okay, yeah, this is it right here. So I get to the point. This is Matthew 12 and verse 25. It says, and Yahweh knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Right. So you have America, you have EU, you have NATO, they're completely divided. Right. And even here at home, for them, they're divided. Trump is, coming in as a cruel Lord pursuing to Isaiah 19. Right. He's ruling and issuing forth decrees as a king. Right. And he's telling people just to abide by it, but the courts are, bucking up against him, which they got more news about it, where we will see the Chicago mayor is, trying to step up to him, which we'll get into real soon. So verse 25 again, Matthew 12 and 25, it says, and Yahweh knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan casts out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? Right, but Esau that is in, it cannot stand. They're divided. They're completely divided. Trump is saying one thing, and then the courts is saying something else. So they're going to be fighting on how to proceed going forward. That's what's happening. So that's what I was talking about. It says global development includes block deportations of Guatemalan minors. And we got Houthi raids on UN offices in Yemen. So that's what basically Israel is, stopping the food from getting to the Hamas and whatnot. So now you have the Houthis over there just raiding the UN offices with the food in it. That's what it's talking about. So hey, pretty much the world is burning up, and it's getting closer and closer to that world war. It says U.S. Germany military planning for Ukraine. So they simplified this, right? Because I kept asking the question. This was much extended. But okay, so they simplified it. That's fine though. It says U.S. Germany military planning for Ukraine. So what they're planning is to send weapons to Ukraine, to help Ukraine. That's what they're trying to do, right? Once again, going to the World War, right? Revelations 11 and 14 speaks of the third war coming quickly, right? The second war already passed, which is World War II. So Greta Thunberg, Gaza flotilla. See, that's all they said. So basically, what she did was try to go over to Israel, Gaza on a little boat and deliver some food, but she got caught. Right. All right. So moving on. Now we got United States highlights. It says ICE-related protests and federal pushback. Connecticut experienced a surge in ICE activity leading to mass arrests termed Operation Broken Trust. Community outcry, especially in Danbury, has erupted over agents' tactics in public spaces, igniting widespread protests. Yeah, uproars of the people, right? America that is in. And why is that? We'll go into it real quick. Just of course the cruel Lord. I kept mentioning it, and the scriptures say, because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. Isaiah 19, and we'll just get it from 1. Isaiah 19 and 1. It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, arrived upon a swift cloud, which is a chariot, right? And shall come into Egypt, which is America, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Now I will set the Egyptian, and it says, I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, which is a civil war, American against America. So that's pretty much what's happening, right? It says, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And that's what it's about to come to. It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to wizards. That's exactly what's happening, right? The scriptures talk about the fact that, the king of Babylon have heard a report of them and trembled, right? So, basically everything that's going on, the city's troubled, protests against them, war brewing and things like that. The spirit of Babylon the Great is felon, right? And now they're seeking to the idols and whatnot, trying to save themselves. That's what it talks about in Isaiah 47, where it says, "Stand now without enchantment." So, 'cause, 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 ' It says, "And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, said the Lord Yahweh Washmi Awashai, the Lord of hosts." Right? And that's what's happening, right? Trump is that cruel lord that's ruling over America right now. Obviously, he doesn't care about the laws or anything like that. So it says in San Francisco, the SFPD rolled out new guidelines amid rising anti-ICE demonstrations, right? Protests. It says advising officers not to assist or interfere with ICE unless public safety is at risk. It says across multiple cities, most notably Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Portland, and Dallas, anti-ICE protests have intensified in response to aggressive raids and detainments. LA saw the deployment of National Guard and Marines to manage. It says LA saw the deployment of National Guard and Marines to manage unrest. Yeah, and that's because of the Project 7. Let me see if I did that. All right, so this is second Esdras 15, and I'll just go to 17. It says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and man shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity on his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and of great tribulation." Right, and that's pretty much what's about to happen. We see that happening, and the prophets are here warning you about it. So we're just going into news about these different things. It says protesters also targeted hotels sheltering ICE personnel in Los Angeles, staging no sleep for ICE rallies that triggered military advisors to avoid certain lodging sites due to agent harassment. Right, so things are heating up here. All right, so we got anti-Trump demonstrations, which, of course, the most notable one was the No Kings event. And then you have little things happening around. I actually seen a little protest the other day while I was driving in this small community of Edomites. They was out there with their signs and whatnot. I seen Trump is a loser. I even said, something about, don't use ICE or something. So hey, the people out here, it was older people. So yeah, I mean that was pretty much it. Hey, like I said, just in the news about the happenings and how the Lord is visiting this place, right? And for us to keep watch, because our redemption draweth not, right? And it's even closer than when we believe. I'm gonna grab this Ephesians 5:15. That'd be it. This is Ephesians 5:15. It says, "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil." Right. So, we're living in an evil time. Ezekiel chapter 7. Hey, Lord willing, you edify from lesson. I wanted to, just, hey, thine eye shall see thy teachers. I wanted to just go live and do it this way. I usually just show the outside or whatnot, which I'll, most likely do it like that a lot. Sometimes I might show myself. Hey, but shalom. So for elect, which consists of men, women, and children, shalom.